Hello, everyone. Welcome to another Thursday community live stream. Very excited to have you here with me today. And for those that are showing up today on this live stream, welcome everyone. Really looking forward for another great session. And first of all, how's everybody doing? I hope you had a great week so far, and we're almost hitting weekend, so that's always exciting. With that said, I'd like to go through the comments and see who all is here, and just greet you, welcome you to another community Bullrun.Life community live stream on this beautiful Thursday. So let's see who all is here. My good brother Theo, welcome. Nice to have you here always. Let's go. I can't wait to kick off this epic life with my great brother Steve and dearest great queen Mama Wino and the entire Bullrun family. The feeling is mutual. Always looking forward to these sessions. They're very important, and we always use them to, of course, inform, educate, and inspire ourselves, and to also showcase what our ecosystem is all about. And it's always exciting. Mr. Bright, welcome. Nice having you here as well. It's always a pleasure having you here. Bullrun family, good to have you here as well in the community. My good brother Demo, nice having you here as well. Always a pleasure. Welcome. Nice having you always here in the community as well. A444BRL, waiting patiently. Likewise, I always look forward to these events all day. Happy Thursday. Hello family. Always look forward to VCs on YouTube live with my Bullrun family. So informational and inspiring. Likewise, Neil, Texas. Always looking forward to these. Miss Chantel, hello family. Hello to you back as well. Welcome. Nice having you here. Good brother Franklin. Hi, Steve. It's great to be here again. I'm ready for another superlative and fantastic informational decimation. That's a mouthful, my brother Franklin. Thank you very much. Excited to be here with you all. Looking forward to another great Thursday session. So without further ado, I would like to get into the topic. I always like to start on time. Because time is of the essence. I like to keep these sessions very informational and educational. You know the drill. I always have a question, a statement, which will lead us throughout the entire session today. And then I always like to come back and close out with you, community, as it should be a dialogue. So I'm looking forward to having this dialogue with you. I'll roll back to you and then see if you have any questions, feedbacks, anything you want to add, or you want clarification on certain topics, then we will deep dive into that and then close out that way. So with that said, today's question that will lead us throughout the day or statement is, as we are part of a community, we always take pride in talking about how we are the king of liquidity. So today it's important to unveil this. Why are we claiming that we are the king of liquidity? Why is liquidity our claim to fame? And how are we going about solving that challenge? And zooming out and looking at the broader market, the broader industry as a whole, what actually is the challenge? Why is liquidity so important? And why are we stressing so much on solving that challenge? So obviously these are multiple statements, questions, and all surrounded with the same idea of why are we calling ourselves the king of liquidity? And everything around that. This is the discussion point today. And this is what we're going to clarify today and dig deep and look into it. I hope it will be a very interesting session for you all. As always, let me start by sharing my other screen. Bear with me. Let me stop this. And of course, I always encourage you to prepare your questions for after the session, so we can have a great dialogue together. All right. Just briefly, we all know coin market cap. We all monitoring it, so I won't spend much time here. Nothing really exciting going on here. We are down 0.6% for the day. Bitcoin is once more below 27,000. So is Ethereum. It's below 1,600 at 1531 right now. A lot of uncertainties are still going on in the market. The fear indicator is still at fear. So there's still a lot of uncertainties going on. The big trial that is going on with Sam Bankman-Fried, the CPI numbers that came from the Feds, all that bundled up with the still open cases with the SEC and all that stuff. So there's a lot of things going on that are still bringing in a lot of uncertainties, but that's just part of the game. Let's keep our focus. Like I always say, if you're in doubt, just zoom out and look at the bigger picture. Let's understand that crypto is all about sentiments. It's all about cycles. And if we understand that, it will make it so much easier for us to navigate through all these uncertainties. And it will help us better to understand where we stand and so on and so forth. So with that said, I really don't want to waste much time, and I really want to dig deep into this topic today, because it's a very important topic to understand. Again, topic of today is why are we taking pride in calling ourselves Liquidity King, and how are we going about solving that liquidity challenge? And if we zoom out and look at the industry, the broad industry as a whole, also we ask ourselves, what are the challenges in the industry? What are we facing? Because only then will we appreciate what we really do. And this is how we always like to structure. We always like to look at the industry, and then we zoom into what we do, and then draw parallels in pointing out what added value we bring as an ecosystem into this space. All right. What is liquidity? Why is it so important in this space? I'd like to kickstart this with our largest cryptocurrency, which is Bitcoin. It's the most known cryptocurrency. If we're new in this space, we're always encouraged enthusiastically to be part of it, which is great. So let's kickstart with Bitcoin. Let's understand what's the challenge in the space. What are we facing right now? So let's start with some articles. And this is not just Bitcoin. I'm just picking Bitcoin because it's the largest cryptocurrency in the space, the most known, the most liquid, supposedly, and that's why I'm picking it. Obviously, it involves the entire market. The entire market is facing a liquidity crisis. It's an issue, but I'm just highlighting this to make a point that even the largest cryptocurrency in the space is not immune or protected from this liquidity crisis. So anyway, this is the first article I'd like to just briefly go by, just to highlight and indicate what crisis we're facing and how important liquidity actually is. So here we read, Bitcoin drops to 10-month low, and even though we experienced the US bank run that we experienced, the banking crisis impacted the US, but the Bitcoin actually did well during that period. However, its liquidity still was dropped down to its 10-month low, despite its price hike. That's the first article. Another article here is similar. During the banking crisis, Bitcoin was the winner. It experienced a price surge and all. However, its illiquidity prevented it from being the US dollar hedge that it's always hailed to be. And like we were saying, while capital flowed into Bitcoin, because of the banking crisis that we experienced, and also other uncertainties within the crypto space, the cryptocurrencies' fractured liquidity played the biggest role. So here again, it's highlighting that the illiquidity of Bitcoin is a major issue. This is something that mainstream doesn't really like to discuss or just highlight, point out. But I believe if we are, giving out information that is unbiased, it's important, especially for newcomers in the space, to understand this, to know this, that this is an issue. So another article reads here, Bitcoin liquidity is drying up as crypto tourists are moving, are basically getting out from the industry. So we understand that, first of all, a lot of people don't understand that there is a crisis in the space. There is a liquidity crisis in the space. And this is obviously not just the crypto space, it's even in the traditional market as well. And all these cycles that we always talk about, bear markets and bull markets, they're all dictated by liquidity. During a bear market, obviously, liquidity gets drained out, taken out of the total supply, of the market. And that's why we came down to $1 trillion market cap right now. We are at $1 trillion market cap. At its peak, during the last bull run, we were at $3 trillion market cap. So obviously, you see here that liquidity has been drained and taken out of the circulating supply. And this is what it's saying, that the so-called crypto tourists have, cashed out and left the industry, draining the liquidity out of Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies, of course, as well. This is the last article I'd like to go through again, talking about how Bitcoin is losing its liquidity, and just pointing out the reasons. So here we see again that Bitcoin has been a surprise winner during the banking blowout. Its price has surged 40%. However, a lack of liquidity is always an issue, and this, of course, triggered wild price swings. And again here, even though its price surged by 40% back in March, on March 10th, during the Silicon Valley blowout, still on the flip side, its liquidity is drying up. So this is a serious issue that many just seem not to pay attention to. So that is the reason why when we say that we are focusing heavily on liquidity, is because we identified that there is a liquidity crisis, that even our largest cryptocurrency in the space, even though the most adopted, the most known, and supposedly the most liquid, it's still facing such issues. And this is why it's important to really pay attention to liquidity, especially in a disruptive technology that we are in early right now. For new projects, new ecosystems, new cryptocurrencies, it's important to pay attention to liquidity, because this is an obvious issue. I believe you get the idea, you get the message. Let's not stop there. I always like to verify. Let's not believe, let's verify. The best way to verify this is always, let's go to Bitcoin. The best way to verify this is to do the math. Let's verify if there is really a liquidity crisis here. The best way to do that is to calculate. Now, let me explain. What we're calculating here is a liquidity to market cap ratio. That's the safest indicator to identify how liquid or illiquid a cryptocurrency is. The closer the number is to 0, the worse it is. The closer the number gets to 100, the more liquid the cryptocurrency is. So we would take this number right here, the liquidity, which is 786 million. Let's take that, 786, and let's divide that by its market cap, which is currently more than half of the entire market crypto space, which is 524 billion. And then we need to multiply this number by 100, and we get 0.15%. Remember, I told you the closer the number is to 0, the worse it is. The closer it is to 100, the best it is, the better it is, the more liquid it is. So this is a 0.15. It's a very pathetic liquidity to market cap ratio, unfortunately. And this is a scary number because this just verifies what we just read in these articles. And it just shows how severe the liquidity crisis is with Bitcoin. And this is a major issue that is not being addressed. Let's go one step further. Let's look at Bitcoin billionaires. Okay, there are 6 Bitcoin billionaires right now in the world, 6 of them. And furthermore, I'd like to highlight how they are so-called centimillionaires. And centimillionaires basically are those who hold, who have a holding of crypto holding of 100 million or above. And there are 78 of those. 78 of those have Bitcoin holding. So there are 78 Bitcoin holders that have at least 100 million or above. And then we have 6 billionaires, Bitcoin billionaires. Now, if we go back to the Bitcoin liquidity, there is only 780 million in the liquidity. Now, what does this tell us? If one of these billionaires decides to shift their gains into a different investment, it will jeopardize, or it would actually make Bitcoin obsolete. Or even if just a handful of these 78 individuals that have a Bitcoin portfolio of 100 million or above, if only a handful of them decide to shift their investment to another asset class, it will put Bitcoin in harm's way. So this is just to highlight the crisis, the issue that we are facing in this space. This is just to bring awareness to the importance of liquidity in the space. This is not to bash any cryptocurrency, but just to extremely bring awareness into this crisis that we're facing in the industry, so that when we talk about being liquidity king or working on solving the liquidity challenge that we're facing in this space, so that we're all aware of how important it is to really work on liquidity, because this is our largest cryptocurrency and it has a 0.15% liquidity to market cap ratio, which by far is the lowest of all cryptocurrencies. Let's look at other very well-known cryptocurrencies. These are the most used apps in the crypto space, and it happens to be that they're all on Ethereum. I'm just going to highlight 3 of them just for the sake of time, and also just they are the most used in the space. And let's look how their liquidity to market cap ratio is. And this is just to emphasize that it's not just Bitcoin, obviously, but it affects other blue chip cryptocurrencies as well. If we start with Aave, we all know Aave. Aave is a great platform, one of them that I personally use as well. So if we go here and look at Aave, and we calculate its liquidity to market cap ratio, which is 31,855,000, and we divide that by its market cap of 910 million. It has a 3.5 liquidity to market cap ratio. Remember, the closer it is to 0, the worse it is. The closer it is to 100, the better it is, the more liquid it is. So it has a 3.5. So it's not great. It's really low, extremely low, but it's still better than Bitcoin was, right? At 0.15. So let's continue looking at other ones. Let's look at the second one. Uniswap, we're all very familiar with Uniswap. Uniswap is a great exchange, decentralized exchange. We all using it. We that are on the Ethereum blockchain. This is where we have our liquidity locked. So let's look at Uniswap. Uniswap has a liquidity of 26 million. Let's calculate that. 26 million. If we divide that by its market cap of 1.88 billion, we get a 1.38. So it's really low as well, extremely low, but it's still above Bitcoin, for example. Now let's look at the last one. This is another one that is heavily used, Curve Finance. It's a staking platform that is even used by major DAOs in the space. Major institutions are also staking there as well. So it's one of the better known staking platforms. If we look at that, let's go to them. And if we calculate, we take the 10 million in liquidity, we divide by the 372, we get a 2.7. So it's still one of the better ones as far as liquidity to market cap ratio. However, it's still extremely low at 2.7%. Now, to bring this home, just to put everything into perspective, we just identified that there is a large crisis in the industry, a liquidity crunch, and how low the liquidity to market cap ratio is, for example, of our largest cryptocurrency. And even when we look at the most used apps in the space, we still realize how the liquidity is really low. The liquidity to market cap ratio is extremely low on them. So it's an issue that affects the entire industry. So that was what we wanted to highlight with this. If we look at currently, let's look at ours as well, since we are calculating it. Our liquidity to market cap ratio, we take the 207 and we divide by the 334. Multiply by 100. We have a 62%. We have a 62% liquidity to market cap ratio. This is obviously extremely high. The highest we've calculated so far amongst Bitcoin, Aave, Uniswap, and Curve. So it's extremely high. And this is coming out of a bear market. So this is the lowest of the low, the worst of the worst. So it can only get better as we're approaching a bull run. So this is just to highlight or bring, to make a point that when we say that we aim to become the liquidity king in the industry, and that we aim as an ecosystem to put mechanisms in place that retains liquidity and focuses on that, because we identified that there is a lack of focus on that, even though it's a challenge that is actually affecting the entire industry, specifically our largest cryptocurrency, which has the worst liquidity to market cap ratio in the space. And it has risks right now, because if these individuals decide to reshift their assets somewhere else, it can heavily affect Bitcoin. These individuals decide to just cash out, our largest cryptocurrency will be heavily affected, and this will also affect everybody else, because Bitcoin obviously holds half of the entire market cap, crypto market cap. Now that I've pointed out the bigger picture, now that we see this from a larger scale, why am I showing you this? Why am I pointing this out? It's because we took advantage of this digital ledger technology, and we identified that there's an issue in the space. And as a Bullrun ecosystem, we took a solution-oriented approach. We analyzed all these different cryptocurrencies. I just showed you some of them, and we looked at it in a very rational way and asked ourselves, what can we improve? How can we address this issue, this liquidity challenge, this liquidity crisis? What mechanisms do we have to have in place in order to address this, and how best can we resolve or tackle this challenge? And this is how we developed Bullrun ecosystem. It's not just a cryptocurrency, but we built an entire ecosystem and mechanisms around to tackle specifically this challenge. This is our claim to fame. This is our added value that we bring into this space. Now, let's discuss how are we addressing this? How are we going about addressing this? Let's start right here with our tokenomics. First of all, what's very important in this space is to understand that you need strong fundamentals. You need strong tokenomics and strong mechanisms within the cryptocurrency or within the ecosystem in order to maintain a sustainable cryptocurrency and a sustainable ecosystem. This is how we went about doing it. We have a 6% buy and sell tax. So that means on every trade, there's 6% being charged on every trade. 3% of that goes towards retaining liquidity. So every 3% of every trade on the buy and sell side goes back into the liquidity. Why is liquidity so important? We just pointed out that we have a crisis industry-wide. It affects our largest cryptocurrency and our most used blue chip cryptocurrencies as well, with the greatest utilities. So this is why we use half of the taxes that go straight to the liquidity. Now, that's not enough. In order to maintain a sustainable ecosystem, you have to also be deflationary. So that's why we have implemented this banning mechanism. And this works extremely well because 1% of all the trades go towards ban. And the way it bans the tokens is it doesn't just ban them and place them in a ban wallet, but it actually depletes the total supply, meaning it removes BRL tokens from the total supply. Let me be more specific. We started with 1 million in total BRL in total supply. So we started with 1 million. If we go to Etherscan right now, we drop down to 975,000 right now. So we are closing in on 25,000 BRL tokens forever taken out of the total supply. Why is this so important? We understand that scarcity is key. Whatever is scarce gains value over time. Right now, the way the monetary system, the fiat system is set up, it's very inflationary. They keep printing more money and they keep increasing their debt ceiling and keep printing more money. It does two things. It devalues the currency, obviously, which makes it inflationary. But more importantly, it devalues its purchasing power in the long run over time. And this is exactly what we are facing in the space. Some regions of the countries, some countries are more affected by the inflation than others, because they all have this system where since 1971, where where the US dollar went off the gold standard, it had basically a free pass to print as much money as they want, and they can just keep increasing the debt ceiling and just keep printing money, which brings a lot of inflation. So coming back into crypto, we're doing the exact opposite. Instead of minting more of our crypto of BRL, we actually taking it out completely from the total supply. So like I said, we started with 1 million tokens. Now we are down to 975. Keep in mind this again, we are coming out of a bear market with low volume, and we are just about to enter a high volume and high liquidity phase, also better known as the bull run. And obviously, during that phase, there will be much more burns happening, and there'll be much more liquidity being accumulated. So these are the combinations that we have. We adding liquidity into the liquidity pool, 3%, but at the same time, we are also eliminating BRL tokens from the liquidity pool. This is how we are building a healthy liquidity, because the idea is to have more, since we are paired with USDC stablecoin, the idea is to have more USDC in the liquidity pool than BRL tokens. So that's why this combination works so good together, because as we are banning, basically removing BRL tokens from the total supply, and the supply of BRL keeps shrinking, the liquidity pool keeps getting added with USDC. So this is synchronizing and working together in building a healthy liquidity, and this is how we can attain a very healthy 62% liquidity to market cap ratio compared to all other competitors and blue chip cryptocurrencies and even Bitcoin that we saw earlier. So this is how the ecosystem works, and these mechanisms play together in assuring that we maintain and sustain a healthy liquidity. Now, in order to maintain the deflationary aspect of our cryptocurrency of Bullrun, we have a staking platform as well. But the way staking platform work, and we looked at some of them here. And actually, if you look at these blue chip, you can stake Lido, Just Land, Aave, you can stake all of these tokens are stakeable. However, if you stake their tokens, they give you their native tokens, making them deflationary, making them inflationary, unfortunately, meaning over time, they get diluted and they lose value over time. This is not how we approach this, because if you stake your BRL tokens, you receive USDC stablecoin. So this helps in increasing the buy pressure and keeping the cryptocurrency and the entire ecosystem deflationary, meaning that there is no price depreciation once you decide to use your distributions for something else. You won't have to, it won't affect the price of BRL. So all these things have been really looked at clearly, carefully, and analyzed. And this is the approach we took, the solution approach. We analyzed the market. We looked at the challenges and the opportunities as well. And then we wanted to take advantage of the opportunities while minimizing the challenges and addressing those challenges. And this is how we came about developing this beautiful ecosystem, implementing these mechanisms, putting them in place in order to work on building and retaining the healthiest liquidity in the space. That is our goal, is to have a 1-to-1, which is 100% liquidity to market cap ratio. We are on our best track right now at 62%, but we are yet to experience a massive bull run that is about to happen, that is awaiting us in the next few months. So what do we have so far? We looked at the entire industry. We identified that there's a liquidity crisis. that affects not just our largest cryptocurrency, but especially our most used blue chip utility tokens as well, such as Lido, Aave, Uniswap, Perv. It affects all of them. We just highlighted how we are addressing this and how important it is for us to build an ecosystem that addresses this. So I just highlighted how we're using taxes to add to liquidity, but this is not all. We have 3 different ways to add liquidity. Let me discuss the second way. The second way is our unlimited revenue source through our NFT boosters. Why would you need NFT boosters? If you only stake your BRL tokens on our staking platform, if you decide to stake your BRL tokens on our staking platform, you only receive 70% of the distributions, your USDC distributions. So we incentivize our holders, the community, to purchase these NFTs, and you can purchase a maximum of 5 of them, and it will boost your USDC distributions to 100%. What do we do with the revenue? 100% of the revenue generated through these NFTs are added back into the liquidity. Why did we take this approach? As we scale as a community, as an ecosystem, we want to always be able to have an unlimited source of revenue, external, outside of the taxes, that we can use to add onto our liquidity organically. Many projects are not built to be scalable. Many projects are not built from day one to expand. So as we grow, as we enlarge as a community, the deeper the liquidity becomes, the more deflationary we become, and the more USDC distributions we accumulate. So all this is strategically built and put together for us to be able to scale, so that as we grow in hold accounts, as we grow as an ecosystem, we also grow in deepening our liquidity. In the more tokens that we burn, the more deflationary our platform becomes, our cryptocurrency is, and especially the more USDC distributions we accumulate to then hand over to those who decide to stake their BRL tokens. Now, the third way we generate revenue outside of the taxes is by staking our BRL reserves. We put aside 10% of a total supply of BRL, and we place them in the staking platform. And if you stake, obviously you receive the USDC stablecoin. And the way staking works, it's dictated by volume. So we looked at these various blue chip projects that, for example, Aave, and we looked at their volume. For example, like Aave has a daily volume of 138 million, and if we look at Aave's chart, now keep in mind, what was it? 138 million in volume. And if we come and look at Aave's chart, does it look like it has 138 million in volume? Unfortunately, this is a chart of inflation. This just means that a lot of Aave tokens are being emitted and flooded in the market. And this is the reason why you see that despite the high volume of 138 million a day, you see the chart still going down, because there are more Aave tokens being minted and flooded into the liquidity pool. And this causes the chart to look like this, despite the high volume. Besides, the tokenomics, the fundamentals are not built to burn tokens, to retain liquidity, or to even give back to the community. And unfortunately, many of the cryptocurrencies are built like this, with very weak fundamentals, with less focus on the token itself. And this is unfortunately scary for newcomers in the space, because if you look at a blue chip cryptocurrency with 138 million in volume and you look at the chart, it's scary, you know. So this is another thing that we addressed, and we wanted to make sure that once we build an ecosystem that will capitalize from the high volume. So if Aave had the same mechanisms in place where they ban tokens, they're deflationary, they give out stable coins as staking rewards, and they retain liquidity, the chart will be the opposite. It will be heading up and not down. The reason why it's heading down, it's despite its high volume, over 100 million a day, is because of its inflationary nature. So this just points out how inflation causes the token to inflate over time, lose value over time. So it's not an attractive staking token, because if you stake it in the long run, it's going to constantly decrease over time, because there's more and more tokens added into the liquidity pool. Now, as I showed you here, we're doing the complete opposite. We started with 1 million tokens in total supply. Now, instead of adding more, inflating more tokens, adding more tokens into the liquidity pool, we are here actually taking them out from the total supply. And now we went from 1 million token now to 975,000. This number will keep shrinking and shrinking as the platform is being used, and as the cryptocurrency is being traded. It will keep shrinking over time, making the cryptocurrency, BRL cryptocurrency, more valuable over time. So it will organically become more valuable as more trades are coming in. And this is the opposite of what we are looking at right now in the crypto space. And this is another challenge. This is another challenge that we are facing. And this is not just Aave, obviously. I'm not picking on Aave. If we look at other ones, let's look at Uniswap and zoom out. Doesn't the chart look identical? It looks exactly the same. Let's look at something else. Let's look at Curve. Let's zoom out. This looks like it really looks like it doesn't look good. Okay, so because there's so many tokens being emitted, added into the liquidity pool, it's the opposite. So instead of removing tokens from the liquidity pool, it's being added into the liquidity pool. What that does is this: 99.3% of its value from the all-time high. So it lost 99.3% of its value over time. And if we look at other ones like Uniswap, it's at 91%. Uniswap lost 91% of its value due to its inflationary nature. And if we look at Aave, it's at 90.62, also almost close to 91% of its value. And this is due to its inflationary nature. So these are the things that we, or our ecosystem, we analyzed, and we identified the challenges, and we addressed those by counteracting and doing the exact opposite. Instead of being inflationary, adding more tokens into the liquidity pool, we decided to do the opposite and actually remove tokens from the total supply. So we looked at liquidity to market cap ratio, which is at 62%. We looked at our deflationary aspect of it. We saw that we dropped from 1 million total supply to 975. Now let's look at staking. Why is staking so important? If you look at the number one wallet right now, it's a smart contract, and it's our staking wallet right now. So if you pay attention, let me zoom in a bit. You see how we have a 58.8% right now is being staked in our staking platform. What does staking do? Why is staking so important? Staking stabilizes the cryptocurrency. It brings stability. The crypto space is very volatile. The prices can shift and vary on a daily basis by large extremes. So if you have a staking platform, it helps the cryptocurrency to be more stable. It won't be so volatile. Now, 58.8%, close to 59% of the total supply, which represents 573,000 tokens, BRL tokens, are basically taken out of the circulation. They're locked away in this smart contract. They're not being sold anytime soon. What does this do? It creates not only stability, but it also creates buy pressure. This, combined with our deflationary aspect by burning tokens, and then also adding liquidity, that we have a high liquidity to market cap ratio, these three items combined make this bull run ecosystem extremely sustainable. So we are deflationary, we are gaining liquidity, and now we are also giving back. We're incentivizing those who decide to stake in the form of USDC distributions. And this is another interesting thing. Usually the way staking works is you get 30 to 90 days period. And during those time, they give you their native tokens. And once those 30 days or 90 days are over, the staking rewards freeze, and that's how it ends. That's another challenge we looked at. And first of all, it's not sustainable, because this is why the charts look like this, because they keep minting their own tokens, and then once people start selling those tokens, it just affects the price. So the approach we took is our staking distributions, which are USDC distributions, are based on the volume, based on the success of the platform. So the more trades that come in, that's how organically we generate and accumulate the USDC distributions. So when the platform is successful, in the sense of high volume, consistent high volume, that's how the distributions are being generated. So it does two things. It's a sustainable mechanism, meaning that there is no deadline or limitations to the distributions. They can be unlimited, provided there is volume coming in, there are trades happening, the platform is being actively used. And as we scale, as we grow as a community, the more it will generate, the more distributions will be accumulated, the more tokens will be burned, and the more liquidity is going to be retained. So you realize that this ecosystem was built based on analyzing these major cryptocurrencies, looking at what worked, what didn't work, and emphasizing everything on liquidity, because that is the major issue. Like we highlighted at the beginning of this stream, we showed using Bitcoin as an example and 3 other blue chip cryptocurrencies to just point out that we are facing a liquidity crisis in this industry. And it's not just Bitcoin, it's other cryptocurrencies as well. We also looked at the liquidity to market cap ratios, and it clearly showed us that it's closer to 0. It's really low. Now, for those who don't understand, well, Steve, you keep talking about liquidity to market cap ratio. What is that exactly? Liquidity to market cap ratio in the simplest form just means that you have enough funds to exit the position. I pointed this out by showing an example with Bitcoin, when I highlighted that Bitcoin has 784 million in liquidity right now. But on the flip side, it has 6 billionaires. And it also has 78 Bitcoin holders that have a portfolio of at least 100 million and above. So if you look at the liquidity right now of Bitcoin, that means that it only takes a handful of those 100 million and above Bitcoin holders to just completely annihilate Bitcoin. Or it only takes one of those 6 Bitcoin billionaires and it will make Bitcoin basically obsolete. So this is something we shouldn't take lightly. This is something that we should be aware of, because this is the largest cryptocurrency in the space. It holds more than half of the entire market cap, cryptocurrency market cap. So this is something that we all should be aware of. And to even bring this point home, I'd like to make an example. Another myth that we are told, especially those that are new into the crypto space, we're always told, when you get into the crypto space, ensure that you get into Bitcoin. Get into Bitcoin, and that's you'll be fine. I can't speak for everyone, but as for me, when I get into the crypto space, my number one goal was to see how we can better ourselves financially. So the return on investment plays a major role, right? I'd like to do a quick math again, just to illustrate and make a point. Let's say we believed the masses, mainstream, and we did invest in Bitcoin back in March. Okay, let's say March 2021 is when we decide to put $500 into Bitcoin. Okay, and then let's look at the all-time high of Bitcoin. What was the all-time high of Bitcoin? Bitcoin's all-time high was at 68. There we go, right here. It was at 68,000. So the best way to calculate this, because on March 21st, Bitcoin's price was 57,000. Okay, so let's check on our investment here. We saw that Bitcoin's all-time high was 68,700. So let's look at that. $68,789. Let's divide that by March's number, which is 57,000. Now we invested $500. Let's multiply this by 500. Now we barely made $100. So 98, close to $98 return on our investment. That's what we made when we invested in March, and we hit an all-time high of close to $70,000 price for Bitcoin. So if we look at this, let's zoom out. We got in when Bitcoin in March, right here, and we wasted the entire bull run because all we gained was barely $100. Why was that? Because you invested in a market cap that already was at $1 trillion. That's the whole idea. That's the whole point I'm trying to make. Investing in large market caps will diminish your return on investment. And you always need to pay attention on low caps to maximize the run. Well, you say, well, Steve, that's not fair. Why are you picking on Bitcoin when it was already at such an all-time high? Fine. Let's take Bitcoin when it was still. Let's take a snapshot of March 2020. Okay. March 2020 is down here at its lowest. March 2020 is low way before the run started. Okay. So let's use that number instead. Let's take all-time high again. Let's take the all-time high. All-time high was 68,789. Let's divide that by the price of Bitcoin back in March 2020, which was 6,000. $208. So let's multiply that by our $500. So we made $5,500 we made. So throughout our entire, from the bottom here, through the entire bull run, our $500 investment with 11x'd it. So we had an 11x, which is great. Now, the point I'm trying to make is the importance of low cap. Low cap. Now, let's look at a low cap here. Let's look at a low cap community token right here. Let's just make a comparison. Let's take the same time span. We looked at March, right? So this is the price of this community token back in March 2021. In 2021, this market cap was 1 million. There was a 1 million market cap. So let's do the same math. In March, it was at 1 million. And then back in April, it hit $1 billion. So let's say we were lucky to get in at $1 million market cap. And a month later, it hit $1 billion. So that alone is already 1,000x. So let's take our $500, multiply that by 1,000x. So within a month, we already made $500,000 compared to the 11x 5,500 that we made, because we got into a large market cap. So, but this is not all. This is just within 1 month. This community token went ahead and hit an all-time high of 42 billion. So let's continue the math. Let's multiply this again by 42. Now we're sitting at 21 million. So you turned your $500 from the same time span from March 2021 into 21 million because you decided to get into a low market cap community token. Where if you would have listened to mainstream and get into a large cap, you would have made 11x. You would have turned your $500 into $5,500, which is great, but it's not life-changing. So the point I'm trying to make here is that the myth of getting into these large cap cryptocurrencies is great for those who have a large portfolios, like the ones we saw, 100 million and above. That's great. If you can make a 11x on your 100 million portfolio, that's great. But for those who have a low budget, it's not relevant. It doesn't make life-changing gains. So low market caps before you enter into all this volume, into this large liquidity phase, you want to get into low market cap, dynamic, vibrant community tokens that you can ride all this out and have the largest ROI for you. This is not financial advice. This is just information and just doing comparisons between a large cap and a low cap, and then comparing from the same time frame, comparing the benefits from it that you get. So this is another myth that we just wanted to bust today, that when you get into crypto, when you're new into it, just get involved with the largest market caps. Yes, they're safer. However, if you look at the return on investment, the higher the risks, but the higher the returns as well. So now we looked at how you can turn, if you in a low market cap, we calculated and we saw 21 million, right? But that's only on paper, because if we look at this cryptocurrency, let's say you were lucky and you got in at $1 million market cap, you turned your $500 into 21 million, right? Now you want to cash out. I hate to break this down to you, but you won't be able to cash out because the same issue. Okay, there's only a 50 million in liquidity currently right now, for example. And let's calculate the liquidity to market cap ratio, even on this project. Let's take 50. It's 50 million. Let's divide it by 4 billion. And multiply by 100. We get a 1.2 liquidity to market cap ratio. As a reminder, the closer it is to 0, the illiquid it is, but the closer it is to 100, the more liquid it gets. So we are facing the same dilemma. And this was the topic of the day. We started with these articles pointing out how low the liquidity is for the largest cryptocurrency in the space. But it's not just Bitcoin, obviously. We went through the 3 largest and most used blue chip utility tokens, and we realized that they are facing the same issue And even if you had made the right investment and turned your $500 into 21 million, you still would be facing the same issue. You won't be able to cash out because the liquidity to market cap ratio is so low. Why are we showing you this? Let's get back. The reason why is because this is why we focus so heavily on liquidity. This is why we keep stressing on being the liquidity king, being the liquidity champion, because we built an entire ecosystem around retaining, sustaining liquidity, because we understand that this is a pandemic, this is an issue in the space, and those who come with a solution to a problem, especially using such disruptive technology early on, they will be the winners. And don't take my word for it. Let me show you a winner who took advantage of a disruptive technology. I always like to share this. There's an individual called Mark Cuban, and no disrespect to the individual, but he is no Steve Jobs. He is no Bill Gates, and he's definitely no Elon Musk. He didn't revolutionize the phone industry. He didn't revolutionize the software industry, and he's not building rockets to the moon. But one thing he's a visionary. He took advantage of the disruptive technology called internet back then in the 90s. And he solved a problem that is very simple. He catered towards sports enthusiasts. He decided that instead of sports enthusiasts to travel across country, why don't he use the disruptive technology known as the internet? He analyzed it and understood it, and then he solved a simple problem. And he facilitated the traveling, and he created this broadcast.com to help sport enthusiasts to be able to stream their favorite games that are being played across the country, but now they can watch them in the comfort of their living room. This was a simple solution, but he utilized the disruptive technology. He later on sold it to Yahoo for $5.7 billion. Why am I showing you all this? Why am I saying this? I'm telling you this because we are at the same spot right now. And we are here solving solutions. And we just mentioned one of them, which is liquidity. We have three more that we're tackling, which is education, security, and also the social network aspect of it. But today's topic was focusing on liquidity. So those who tackle a challenge and identify and solve a $1 trillion solution, $1 trillion problem, which it is. We have a $1 trillion industry right now. And those who are able to tackle it and solve it successfully, those will be the winners. And I want to tell you today that we were able to develop an ecosystem that has proven itself going out of a bear market, that it still has a 62% liquidity to market cap ratio. It has an ecosystem that is deflationary. It has an ecosystem that retains liquidity consistently, and that has built-in mechanisms to retain liquidity externally by using other mechanisms. And especially, it incentivizes its holders, its stakers, with USDC distributions that is based on volume, meaning that as long as trading is on, there will be an infinite amount of distributions in the form of USDC. Our question at the beginning of this session was, why are we claiming that we are the champions of liquidity, that we're liquidity king? Why is this our main claim to fame? It's because we identified and analyzed the market and identified that this is an issue, an industry-wide issue. And we had to build an ecosystem that addresses that. And whoever can solve a $1 trillion problem in the form of an ecosystem in the form of a cryptocurrency using this disruptive technology known as the digital ledger technology or the blockchain. We're on the driver's seat because we are so early in this space, and saying that we're early in this space is an understatement, because the large VCs, the large institutions, the entire financial infrastructure has not even entered into the crypto space yet, has not even built upon the blockchain yet. So all that is still ahead of us. All that is still coming. So the message of today is to just highlight that there is a crisis in this space, and this crisis is a liquidity crisis. We highlighted these by going through these articles. We also highlighted that by going through and calculating liquidity to market cap ratios to highlight the importance of liquidity. And then we came back to our ecosystem and in detail highlighted which mechanisms we have in place to tackle the liquidity challenge. This is the message for today. And I hope this was informational, educational, and especially inspirational to you all. This was not to bash any cryptocurrency, but it was to just make a point and highlight the crisis, the liquidity crisis that we're facing, and to also address why are we claiming that we are the liquidity kings, and why is that our claim to fame? Why are we stressing on liquidity so much? And I believe and I hope that this session today answered those questions and brought more clarity to you. And I also believe those that are outside of our ecosystem have a better idea what added value that our ecosystem brings into this space. We are solution oriented, and we're in the space to add value, and we're in this space to be around for the long term. And to do that, you need to be different. Our ecosystem is unique. It's a unicorn in this place. There is nothing like it out there. It's built by analyzing the market. It's built by looking at the opportunities and the challenges, grabbing the opportunities by the horns, and tweaking the challenges and coming out with solutions, and then developing an ecosystem that is complete, that is deflationary, that is sustainable, that is deflationary, and that gives back to its community. This is it for today, community. I hope it was informational to you. And I'd like to get back to you now and read the comments, see if you have any feedbacks, if you have any inputs, and then we'll close out like that. This is very important for us as a community to understand what we have. We have something very unique. We have something one of its kind. And what we need to do is to educate, inform, and inspire, because we are early on in this crypto space. And those who come with a solution to a $1 trillion challenge, they will be the winners at the end of the day. This is it for today. Let me get to you and let's go through the comments, and then we can wrap it up that way. Bear with me. All right, community, I'm back. And I'll go through the comments. Let me see if you have any questions, any inputs, and then we can discuss it. First of all, I see how, in case you are new and you don't know about our websites or our community, feel free to join. Ms. Sharon put the links down here for you. We're all about education. Today's topic was liquidity, but we also tackle education. We have 3 events a week. We have 3 events a week, which is on live on Space, on X Space, Twitter Space. Every Monday we host Twitter Space on Twitter, of course. We also have Thursdays, like today, we are hosting YouTube on our main YouTube account. And also we have VCs on Telegram on Saturdays on our main account. So we tackle education as well. And like I said, security and social network as well. But those were not the topics. Those are topics for another day. Today we wanted to focus on liquidity. And this is the Telegram. You can join. You can join us. Thank you, Ms. Sharon, for sharing the link. Mr. Bright says, great BRL family, great future. Absolutely. We're really always looking forward how we can bring value, add value into this, into the crypto space. This crypto space is extremely competitive, and only those that are visionaries and take a solution approach, those are the only ones that will really survive and be around in the long run. Good day, Steve. Amazing community, Bullrun ecosystem for life. Nice having you, Cryptorizer. It's a pleasure having you here. Hit that like. Absolutely. Let's always engage with these, because the more engaged it is, the farther the reach it will have. It will reach. Let's engage with it so that it reaches masses. It reaches more people. So the more we engage with it, the better. It's free just to hit that like button. Definitely. Absolutely. Miss Martha. This is a very unique platform. It's a very unique ecosystem, one of its kind. We analyzed the market and came up with the right solutions based on deflationary aspect, liquidity, and we want to educate our community, because we understand that an informed, an educated, and an inspired community can move mountains. We can achieve so much, and that's why it's important that we keep educating the community using these 3 different platforms on a weekly basis, very consistently. And we appreciate every one of you that are participating here also with us. So this is great. Yes, this ecosystem is built with deep liquidity in mind. Sustainability is the basis for this. No other is like it. We are in this best place. This is exactly what we're talking about. Liquidity is key. That was the topic of today, and the ecosystem was specifically customized to tackle that challenge. My brother Tariro, truly in the good space. I appreciate you. You're very much appreciated in the space, in the community. Nice having you here. And yes, we try to build a community that is very that is unbiased and gives proper information and to educate our community. My good brother Theo, this is my absolute favorite topic. Thank you for covering this in such great detail, my great brother. I am thoroughly enjoying this live. The pleasure is mine. This is my favorite topic just as much. And it's always a pleasure interacting with the community and just informing and educating, so that we all are inspired and can look forward to what's ahead of us. Now the questions are coming. 2 questions for you, good sir. The first, is it possible to have an inverse relationship in regards to the liquidity to market cap ratio? An inverse relationship, absolutely. Like, correct me if I didn't understand your question correctly, but that's the whole point, is that you have that relationship. It needs to go hand in hand. The inverse, if it's inverse though, is the opposite. It's the ones that I just showed. Okay, because that means your liquidity, your market cap is higher than your liquidity. So it's not catching up to the market cap. What you have in your liquidity is not catching up to the market cap. And that puts the number low. Like we saw at Bitcoin, it's even 0.115. So that is extremely low. It's based on the blue chip and all, it has the worst liquidity to market cap ratio. So you don't want to have it inverse. You want to really have it related. You want it to go hand in hand. That's the best way. The whole idea is to at least achieve, and this has not been done before. This has really not been done before, to achieve a 1-to-1, which is 100% liquidity to market cap ratio. We are sitting at 62% right now, coming out of a bear market with low volume. So we are on the right track to achieving the undone. This is something that has not been done before, and we're in the space to achieve that. And like I say, we analyzed the market. We saw what worked, what didn't work. We saw the opportunities that were not taken advantage of. And then we developed this ecosystem, this platform, to address those challenges. And I believe that once we come out of this bull market and really take advantage of the liquidity, the volume that we are about to experience, that we entered the space before the large players, the big money is about to enter the place, I believe we will enjoy the ride, and we will be able to accumulate every little bit, and we'll even achieve some matrix that have not been achieved before in the space due to the mechanisms that we have within our ecosystem. I hope that answered your question, my good brother Theo. Is this a possible goal of Bull Run in the future alongside the 1-to-1 ratio we will achieve in the very near future? Absolutely. Like I said, the ecosystem was built from day one to achieve that. It has the sole purpose to build the deepest liquidity in the entire space. That's its claim to fame. That's the only reason why it was even developed, is to achieve the 1-to-1, which has not been achieved before. So this alone will be the biggest marketing ploy for us as an ecosystem, as a community, because it has not been done before. And once this is achieved, we'll go to phase 2. This is phase 1, achieve 1-to-1. And then phase 2 will be to start accumulating assets in the form of Ethereum to start backing BRL. So I don't want to get ahead of myself, but I just want to paint a picture that the vision that we have is to really make BRL become a very solid ecosystem and do achieve things that have not been done before, based on what we analyzed in the market, based on the challenges that presented opportunities. And we want to meet those opportunities, and we're coming with solutions to meet them. And now that we're coming out of a bear market, we also want to be part of this amazing, yet the largest bull run that we are about to experience, and then see how our ecosystem, our mechanisms will do from here. If we came out of a bear market and we're already at a 62 liquidity to market cap ratio, and we looked at the competitors, with the largest being at 0.15 and the other blue chips being at, the largest one was like at 3 point something. So we are way ahead of the curve coming out of the bear market. And as we are approaching the bull run, our name suggests it, but it was literally built to make the most, to maximize the bull run. So it really goes hand in hand with the name. I hope this answered your question, my good brother. Okay. And my second question is, why hasn't this liquidity issue ever been addressed in the traditional markets as well as the crypto space? This is a political question. This is beyond my pay grade. But my 2 cents in this is, it's simply because the depegging of the gold standard. That's exactly what happened. Once the depegging took place back in 1971, and the gold standard was depegged, it gave the fiat monetary system the opportunity, the authority to just keep minting, keep printing funds, and keep raising the debt ceiling. And that did two things. It caused inflation and it devalues the cryptocurrency, which in turn decreases the purchasing power. That's the simplest answer I can give you. Once the depegging took place from the gold standard, because US dollar being the reserve currency, global reserve currency, every other currency was basically tied or pegged to the US dollar because the US dollar was directly pegged to the gold. And once that was taken out by Nixon back in August 1971, all hell broke loose, and the inflation started, and the liquidity now issue started because there was more paper money than what's backing it. Before it had to be 1-to-1. You had to have enough, the same amount of US dollar, the same amount gold. So it was back, the liquidity was there. But once that went off the gold standard, all hell broke loose. There was no backing anymore, and that was the big issue. And this is what we want to bring back. Like once we hit that 1-to-1 ratio, 100% liquidity to market cap ratio, like I said, we want to start accumulating assets, specifically Ethereum, to start backing BRL. And that's the next phase. So we have great vision for our ecosystem, and this is something that has not been done before. But we built this ecosystem, this platform from day one to be able to achieve things that have not been done before. And we are so early in this space that we are doing something that nobody else has been doing, and this is our claim to fame. This is something that we really take pride in. And coming out of the bull market, the bear market, we saw that obviously the ecosystem does what it was built to do, despite a bear market. So now that we are about to enter the bull market, we're about to really see some good numbers and good metrics on our side. Sorry, this more than two questions, good sir. I'm too excited about this topic of liquidity. No problem, my brother. Thank you for bringing on these questions. They're very important. They're very, very important. Low market cap community tokens have more room. Exactly. This is the message. Low market caps have way much more room to grow, and that is very important to understand. Like I made an example, same time frame, you can put it in a large market cap, same amount, $500 investment. And we looked at, even if I went back to 2020, we saw how you can do an 11x. You did an 11x based on the market cap. It was too high. But if you decide to go with a higher risk, however, with a low market cap community token, you saw how you were able to turn your $500 into 21 million. However, we also looked at the reality of things, that if that project that you have your 21 million in doesn't retain liquidity, doesn't burn any tokens, it's not deflationary, and doesn't give back their stakers in the form of stable coins, it's just you just become another paper millionaire, just like with the Bitcoin holders. And that's a scary thing, and that's something that unfortunately is plaguing the entire crypto space. So yes, definitely low market caps are key to maximize your return on investment, and especially if you can get early in a vibrant community which develops their own cryptocurrencies and gives you as a community member the opportunity to get the first dip into it. That's you're halfway to success already, because those are the two keys to success in the crypto space. Get involved with a community that is vibrant, that is active, and that is solution oriented, that built an ecosystem that is sustainable, that is deflationary, that gives back to you, and that retains liquidity. Once you're in there, get in early on these launched tokens, and once you achieve that, you're halfway through to success. And this is what we offer to our community members. And these are just basic informations that we give on a weekly basis, 3 times a week, like we just highlighted, on our Telegram VC, on our Twitter space, and then of course, like today, on YouTube on our main accounts. Nick here, really amazing how the tokenomics were engineered, Steve. Really have to zoom out to understand the complexity of the entire BRL ecosystem. It really gets me hyped. BRL for life. Nick, first of all, welcome to the community, welcome to the ecosystem. I'm glad that you were able to wrap your head around all this. And I agree with you. Once you can wrap your head around what our ecosystem does, it will be your aha moment. You will really excuse me, you'll really understand what added value that the ecosystem brings into this space. You'll really appreciate it, because if you zoom out and look at the industry and analyze it and understand what challenges that we're facing in this space, and then you zoom back in and look at the ecosystem, look at the fundamentals, look at the tokenomics, and look at the mechanisms that were put in place to build a sustainable and build a deflationary and build a liquidity retaining ecosystem. This is something that has not been done before in the space, and we are really thrilled to be able to be the first to do this. And as we're entering into the more liquid phase of the cycle of the financial or the cryptocurrency cycle, better known as Bullrun, just like our brand. That's another thing. Bullrun is our brand. So whenever people talk about Bullrun, we should be, especially on social media, on Twitter, we should be the ones trending. That's why we should always use hashtag Bullrun.Life, Bullrun, and so on and so forth, so that when once we enter the Bullrun phase and people are talking about Bullrun, our website should be there, our DEX tool links should be there, our social media platforms should be there. And if we play this strategically, we can really maximize the awareness, the exposure that we deserve to have. So absolutely, thank you for your input here. Brother Franklin, amazing tokenomics. Thank you very much. Yes, it was very important to do something differently in this space and not just go by the status quo, and to just analyze the market and do things differently and take a more solution-based approach. Excellent question, Nick. If liquidity is higher than the market cap, does that have an effect on the price? No. What it actually does is, the more liquid a project is, the less it affects the price. The crypto space is so volatile because the lack of liquidity. Bitcoin is so volatile because it has such a high market cap but such a low liquidity. So that's why it's so volatile. It doesn't take much to shift it. That's why sometimes if you look at the chart of Bitcoin, you see such a large red candle, because it's such a low liquidity cryptocurrency compared to its large market cap. So low liquidity brings volatility. High liquidity brings stability. So to answer your question, it affects it, yes, but in a positive way. It doesn't cause the price to just be too volatile, go too crazy. So that's why our aim is to really achieve that at least 1-to-1 liquidity to market cap ratio. It will bring a lot of stability, for one, and secondly, those who enter their positions can exit their positions at ease, not having to worry about just being on paper millionaires or having their specific amounts, whatever they have, on paper, but they won't be able to exit. This is actually the big picture that we're trying to solve. We don't want individuals to be able to get into crypto space and not be able to cash out, because this is what we experienced in the traditional market already. There were so many bank runs that happened and there were no funds to be taken. If people start doing a bank run on Bitcoin, Bitcoin will be obsolete. Within a few hours, it will be obsolete because there's more billionaires than there is liquidity in there. Actually, even one of those 6 billionaires won't even be able to cash out the entire billion because there's only barely 800 million in there. So this is a crisis that really, really needs to be taken serious. And unfortunately, not many projects are really highlighting this issue or focusing on this. Fantastic question, Nick. That was a question I was trying to ask in terms of inverse relationship, a higher liquidity than market cap, and the added benefits this could provide. Absolutely. It comes with a lot of benefits, and we'll have a lot of traders coming in. It will bring a lot of trust, and people would not even want to sell because they understand that they can just sit there, stake their BRL tokens, get the USDC distributions, and just watch as the trades are coming in, and which will keep banning BRL tokens, draining them from the total supply. The liquidity will keep becoming healthier and healthier. And most importantly, deflation plays a major role. So in the long run, as our platform is being used, it will not only are we banning tokens, not only are we adding liquidity to us, but also we're giving back to those that are holding, giving them an incentive to stake their tokens. And eventually we will achieve a very high staking percentage. And that's another aspect. Staking brings even more stability. So we want to have a cryptocurrency that is highly staked, has the highest staking percentage, and we'll be able to achieve that, that has the deepest liquidity, and that gives back to the community through the volume that it generates. We looked at all these blue chip cryptocurrencies with 138 million in volume, 44 million in volume, but it doesn't do anything to the chart. It doesn't bring back to the community. Those tokens, the fundamentals are weak because they don't have any banning mechanisms, and they definitely not retain any liquidity. So those are basics, those are fundamentals that we need in this space to really have longevity in this space. Like I said, it's a very competitive space, and only those who really come with solutions and are thinking like in the long term and taking a solution approach, only those who really last in the space. I want to thank you all for participating. These were great questions, great inputs. It was another great session that we had here together, community. And I just want to thank you all for participating. And those who are able to be here live with us and place these questions. And I really appreciate every single one of you today. Those that will be listening later on, I hope it was an interesting and informational, and educational and inspirational session for you as well. Without overly extending this session today, I just want to wish every one of you a wonderful rest of your Thursday. And wherever you are, I want to wish you a good afternoon, good evening, good night. I want to thank you for your participation, for showing up on this beautiful Thursday. And thank you, everyone. I'm looking forward to see you on our next community event, which will be on Saturday on our Telegram VC, on our main account on BRL. And I hope that you will show up there again. Be prepared if you have any follow-up questions that you didn't ask today or were not answered today. Bring them along on Saturday. Join our social medias like we showed you. We are actively on Twitter, on Telegram, and also here on YouTube. With that said, I wish everybody a wonderful rest of their day, their evening, and good night. And I'm looking forward to see you again on our next community event. I hope this session was informational, educational, and especially inspirational to you all. Till then, wish everybody a wonderful rest of their day. Bye-bye, community. See you soon.